Okay, what are you saying, people, and welcome back to my channel. Like always, guys, got another weekly analysis for you. So on the screen are the pairs we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you stay to the end of the video like usual, guys. So we'll be going through each pair, breaking down what's happened this week and potentially what could be happening during next week as well. So make sure you stay to the end of the video for all of that. But before that said, guys, let's just get straight into it. Okay, so first up we've got Euro USD. So for this pair we did see some nice downside this week, which was expected for this pair. We were coming up into this area of resistance here. If I just make that a little bit thicker, so we are coming into this area of resistance here around the 1.19 area, very key level of resistance, which I did say last week, if it was to break through this and to see Euro USD continue to fly to the upside, I probably will be changing my bias for Euro USD to be bullish overall, and probably expecting a bigger move to the upside and a complete reversal back to highs for Euro USD. But as you can see, we failed to do that. We rejected that area and had a nice fall to the downside. So we were looking for sells to start the week off at this level of resistance for Euro USD from this area back to the downside, and targets being around this level here of 1.18, I believe. Yes, that area there, to see if we can break through it, or if we hold, look for some buys to continue to the upside. So those are the two kind of setups we were looking for last week: sells from this area to the downside and buys back up again. As you can see, we did see some nice rejection from this level here around Thursday/Friday there for Euro USD. We're coming back again for another test. So like it, basically exactly the same as I said last week. If we can hold this level, more upside again for Euro USD back to 1.19. If we break through this level for Euro USD, then I'm probably going to be expecting a lot more downside, and potentially Euro USD back down to these lows all the way down here, because we're still holding this level intact, and we could just see this continue to the downside. If I go on the daily quickly, you can see we have this nice up, down, potentially just another pullback for price to come back down and potentially create some lower lows. So that could definitely be on the cards for Euro USD. But for me, this is a key level that needs to break for that to happen. So pretty much again from last week, looking at what's happening here, looking for those buying opportunities. If we do get them, then targets will be at 1.19. And if we go break for 1.19, like I said, we could be on for a reversal. But if you go and break to the downside, and we can look for the retest and just look for continuations, because in that case, you know, we potentially got another lower high there, or basically double top, test it once, test it again. I'm expecting to see price come back to the lows, but we do need to take out this key level, psychological level and area of support. So for Euro USD, it just depends what happens with this level. Again, watch the price action. Price action is the most important thing, and if we are breaking through, then on the retest, look for the rejection. We can look to take some shorts back down to those lows there around 1.16700. But if we don't, and we continue to hold that level for next week, then buys back up to 1.19 for next week. Okay, so next up we've got USD JPY. So for this pair, nothing too much happened. We did see a big move up and a big move down for USD JPY this week, but essentially we have been moving sideways throughout. I did say last week we were looking for selling opportunities for USD JPY if price did come to this resistance. At one point it was looking like it was going to break out to the upside, but however, as you can see, it did reject it and come straight back down. And I also did say as well, if we do have a break of this support as well, can look to sell on the retest of it as price breaks through on the break and retest opportunity. However, we still haven't broken through that area yet. So yeah, USD JPY, it's a bit of a tricky pair right now because price is literally just moving sideways. But I do think when we finally do break out, it will probably be to the downside. So again, if we do have another run to the upside, I think looking for sells is the best option. Back at resistance, every time price gets here, it looks like we keep rejecting it anyway. So if we do get there, look for sells. Watch out for false breakouts, because we are starting to push up and take some stop losses out there. So do watch out for that. Wait for the price action to get your confirmations, and then look to sell it back down. And again, targets do have to be this support, because price keeps rejecting it. Can look to target these lows here, because when we do get that breakout, this is where I do expect price to come into these area of support here. But then again, we might just come back, reject it again, and for another week could just see more sideways price action. So First targets will be this support. If you can wait for the break and retest, that is also a good opportunity. Wait for the break and retest of this opportunity there, and then you can sell it into these areas there. So then you'll know you actually have the breakout, rather than just shorting and expecting the pair to break out, which we've done for the past couple of weeks now. So USD still do have that bearish bias, expecting to see another swing to the downside. Again, pretty much the same opportunities as last week, looking for sales at this resistance to take it to the downside. And if we can get that breakout, look for the break and retest option as well on this support here. Wait for it to turn retest, wait for it to turn resistance, and then we can look to short it into these areas down there. But my bias for USD next week is still to the downside, looking for a push back down into 109.100, and if you can break through that 108.780 down there. Okay, so next up we've got USD CAD. So for this pair, we had the overall bearish bias for USD CAD last week. We were first, however, looking for buying opportunities from this key area of support of 1.25. So as you can see here, acting as support really nicely, giving this massive move to the upside. And we were looking for buying opportunities from this level again, but again, only short-term buying opportunities, because we were looking to sell at this resistance here to take price back down again. However, as you can see, we just broke through that level quite easily and quite quickly there as well. I remember I was looking at that during one of my streams this week, and we broke through that quite easily. Big push to the upside, again helped with the CAD weakness, helped driving this towards the upside there. Came back for the retest, and now looks like we're bullish again here. So USD CAD, it looks like we've got more upside for this pair. Again, I think I am flipping my bullish, not bullish, I'm thinking my bias to bullish rather than bearish, because it does look like we could be seeing more upside now for USD CAD. We are still holding this daily resistance, but I've got a feeling we probably will break through that level. Again, I've been talking about this trend line for quite some time now, seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tests there. We had that break, turns out it was a false break, because we broke straight back above there, and as you can see, we're holding that as support again. So I think as long as we stay above that trend line, USD CAD has a good chance of pushing to the upside and probably moving back into this daily resistance here, where it wicked and formed that previous high up there. Again, we might go fill the wick and push past that. We well could do that, because we do still have a bullish trend here, and the market could be on its way to create a higher high. That could be the case. But at least I do expect to see a push back up to 1.25, 800, kind of that resistance there, if we can stay above that trend line. So for me next week, we'll be looking for buying opportunities for USD CAD. We do have this key level of support which we are holding. So I think the two, well, kind of the three areas I will be looking at will be this support here if we do come back to retest it, but we do have to maintain daily candle closes above that trend line. If we close back below this trend line here, then we might be seeing more downside. If we can hold it, then I will be looking for buys from here to take it back up again, or buys if you come back, retest the trend line, or buys if you break through this and have a retest of this area, because as you can see, really nice resistance. We broke above it there, couldn't hold ourselves, came right back down. So if you can break above, hold that as support, I expect us to fill that range to the upside. So I think the best opportunities for next week will probably be a break above this area here. Again, maybe not, the trend line might not be the best opportunity, because we'll be buying into that resistance there, which is not too far away, and it could reject price against us. Or if we do come back to retest this support down here for the double bottom, so test the one, came again second time, and then we can look for buys there again. So I'm only really looking for buying opportunities. The only way I will change my bias for USD CAD is if we have a daily candle closure back below that trend line and we can hold it as resistance. But for now, it looks like price was seeing more upside for USD CAD, and the DXY is looking a little bit bullish as well. So USD CAD, looking for buying opportunities next week. If we do come back into here, again looking for those buys, wait for that price action, or if we do go break through that area, wait for that retest and look for buys back into 1.28, 500 area.
Sorry to interrupt the video guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you find it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video.
Okay, so next up we've got Euro Pound. So for this pair, big move to the downside this week, quite an aggressive collapse there actually. Again, I did say we're looking for buying opportunities if we do come back into support, but if we do move back into that resistance, look for sells. I believe the area I was looking at was this resistance here, saying if we do come back into to this level, look for selling opportunities. We did see some false breakouts there, as you can see. Big wick to the upside, definitely taking out a lot of people on those selling opportunities there. A lot of stop losses above here would have been taken out, and eventually seeing the dump to the downside. So we did see a nice sell off from that level, except we did have that false breakout, of course. I was talking about this daily level of support here. If we do come back into this level, can look for buying opportunities, and so far we're seeing some nice quick rejections there because we are still above this trend line here as well, and still looking for price to continue to the upside. But if you do break through that, we might see a bit more downside. For euro pound, we are looking a little bit bearish, I do have to admit, with this price action here, especially with all that momentum. If we can keep maintaining this support, then buys will be looking good, but I wouldn't hold on for buys too long. I'll probably say buys back up into that resistance will be good, but from there I'll probably exit the trade completely, even though I do expect to see euro pound eventually continue to the upside. It might be that we see a bit more downside for euro pound just because of the price action we're seeing, because it is important to always follow price action. Don't just have a bias that you marry. The way I trade, I really look at price action, and that determines my bias, and if that changes, then my bias changes with it. So right now it's looking like it's potentially trying to turn bearish here for euro pound and just see a continuation of this bearish trend with that price action, but we still haven't broken through this key support. So if we do that next week, then on the break and retest, that will be a good selling opportunity to take that further to the downside. But if we can hold this, then I can see some buying opportunities back up into that resistance. But from there, yeah, I'll probably exit my trade from there. So do monitor price action here. If you can hold that, buys back up into that resistance around the 0.85, 800 area. And at the same time, actually, if we do see a nice push into that area, and we do see some nice rejection again, similar to what we had here, I'll probably look for sales to sell this back down again, because it looks like euro pound, like I said, potentially might be turning bearish. So I'll probably say buys from back here. It's a really key area of support if we continue to hold this area. So far that price action doesn't look too good, so need a lot more there, and if we can hold that, buys back into that. And if we do see a move back into this resistance there and see some more wick rejections there, look for sales to take it back down into that same support, and just play the range basically of that resistance and that support. And like I said, if we do get the breakout as well, can look for the break and retest option to take that further to the downside there. So we'll be also looking for that opportunity potentially there as well on the break and retest, kind of like a third opportunity there for euro pound. But anyway, we're going to play the range here for next week, and if we do get the breakout on the retest, can look for sales again for euro pound to take it further to the downside, mainly to around that next psychological level around 0.85. Okay, so next up we got AUD USD. So for this pair, we did see some nice downside to start the week off, which was expected for AU. I said coming into this area here, nice area of support, resistance, really nice sell off from that level, probably about 3, 4, 5 weeks ago now. And yeah, we had a big move to the upside for AU. We did need to see some retracement at some point. We saw 2 bearish candles, but that's not really that much. We did need to see some downside eventually for AU, and as you can see, we finally got that. And the 2 targets were this resistance here and this level of support here as well. So as you can see, we broke through one and haven't really tested the other one just yet. So for me, I think more downside for AU looks likely this week, especially with how the weekly has just ended there. Nice retested the underside of that level as resistance again, 0.74, and now we're seeing some downside. Was looking for buying opportunities from here if we did hold that area, just to see if that bullish momentum did continue last week. However, as you can see, that failed. Price broke through, retested resistance, and looking bearish again as well. So for AU, if we can see some retracement, great. I'm not sure if you would get it though, because that is looking bearish. We could just open up and just see that momentum continue, but if you do see some retracement, great. Can be looking for selling opportunities to sell it back down into that support there around 0.73. So nice psychological level there as well, and also, previously this this area of support all across here. just to fill that range to the downside. And if we can hold that area, can look for some buys back up again, back into that area of resistance, and just basically play that range there for AUD. So if you come back into here, look to sell into that support, and if you can hold that, look to buy back into that resistance. As you can see, we had a really healthy consolidation there before we did break out to the downside. I think potentially AU could just repeat that price action again and just flip from that resistance to that support and back into that resistance again. If we do clear this support, we might be seeing a bigger breakout to the downside back to some of these levels, so we can look for that break and retest option on this area for more downside. But of course we do need to break through that area there first, and then we can look to target around these areas here. Nice area of support there a couple times as well, but primarily focusing on just playing the range this week for AU with that resistance there and that support. And if you do see that breakout, can look for sales on the retest back down to around the 0.72 400 area for next week. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to NZD CAD. So for this pair, as you can see, a big breakout to the upside this week, well, past couple of weeks actually, which we were expecting once price cleared this level of resistance, and price has just been flying to the upside. So again, price has been looking bullish, been looking for selling opportunities for NZD CAD because had quite a substantial breakout with not much retracement there, as you can see on the daily. So we're waiting for price to find that level of resistance where it can respect and see some downside. We were looking for selling opportunities for this level last week. As you can see, we're actually breaking through that. Nice resistance there, support there as well, resistance, bit of a false break there. And as you can see, we are breaking above it. So I still do see more downside for NZD CAD. Right now it is flying to the upside, but it might mean that we move to the upside a little bit further. I'm looking at this level here next, really nice area of support and resistance. So of course support there, resistance there as well. So I can see a bit more upside for NZD CAD, but from here we'll be looking to sell this market back down again, just because I think it is time for it to take a breather back into this level here. And if you can break through that, I can probably look to target some deeper levels further to the downside. So yeah, NZD CAD definitely is a bullish market. It looks like potentially might be actually having a reversal. If I'm being honest with this price action here, big consolidation, that'll break into the upside again. As you can see, big run to the upside there previously from that same area. So I can see some more upside for NZD CAD long term, but I think for next week some shorts could be looking good as price takes a bit of a breather to the downside, maybe find some support somewhere, and then probably continue to the upside again and see that reversal happen. So looking for selling opportunities from this level here, as I just showed you guys, that daily level of resistance around 0.90600. So around there, want to see a little bit more upside, then look to sell it back into this level, 0.9, nice psychological level. Then probably we'll be looking at this area here next on the 4H. As you can see, we found support really nicely there and did see quite a big run from that level. So that will be acting as support here as well, around the 0.89200 level. So looking for shorts for NZD CAD, it's either that we push to the upside, respect that level there, or we break to the downside, come back and retest that daily resistance and then fall. Either which way, and probably give us like 3 lower highs there, and then we can sell that. But either which way, looking to sell to the downside, then potentially look to find that higher low to take it back up again. So NZD CAD looking to start the week off with that sell bias to the downside. If we do run to this resistance, great, the risk reward will be a lot better. Sell it back down into the kind of the 0.89 200 mark, and then if you can hold that, can look for some longs to take it back up again. Because I do see more upside here for NZD CAD, because potentially, like I said, we could be having a large reversal on our hands here. So NZD CAD looking to sell at the start of the week, then if you can find some support and a potential higher low, can look to take it back up into that resistance up there. And now on my screen I've got pound NZD. So for this pair, as you can see, not too much happened this week. Prices essentially just moving sideways really after that big dump to the downside. We were kind of looking at two levels in the market this week, around 1.195, and also this area of support. And I said price potentially could see a move back down to the support if we can hold this as resistance. So far it is doing exactly that, it's holding this as resistance. So if that does hold intact, then I can see some more downside for pound NZD. We do have a little bit of a trend line there, so maybe a safer option would be the break of the trend line, come back for the retest, see if we can hold that, look for some sells on the retest, and then we can take it back into those lows there on 1.92. But if the momentum doesn't change back to the bears and we see this price actually continue, we could actually break through this level and actually use it as support to see a bit of a move to the upside, because pound NZD has really seen a big dump to the downside recently, breaking out of this kind of range there. So we could be seeing a bit more retrace before we do see some continuation to the downside. And I did say if that is the case and we do see some retracement, then we could see a push back up to the kind of like 1.96 level there, just to retest that support, because we haven't had that retest yet. So two opportunities looking for there, just depends what price does with this key level of resistance here, whether it breaks through or it holds and we see that continuation to the downside. So what I'll be looking for next week, if I just clear the chart second so it's easier for you guys to work out what's going on. If price stays above this trend line and eventually breaks through that resistance, use that as support. We'll look for buying opportunities back into that daily resistance there for the retest, and then we'll look to exit that position at that level. Or if we can actually break through the trend line, come back, retest it, hold resistance, we'll look for selling opportunities to take that further to the downside, because we're still holding that key level, and then we'll look to see if we can take that back down to around the 1.92 and retest that daily support. So pretty much determines what happens next week is that level there. So again, watch price action, monitor it, react to what price is giving you, and then look for an opportunity there. So either sells for next week if we can hold this level here back down to 1.92, or if you can break above it, use it as support. We'll look for buys back up to 1.96 area up there. Okay, so up next we've got CAD JPY. So for this pair we had a bearish bias this week, and as you can see we did see some nice downside. So we did see that expected move, and we were looking for our sell opportunities in two areas for CAD JPY this week. We're looking at this area here, price support, now turn resistance, and also this resistance up here as well. So price did come back to that previous high around 88,400. We were looking for sells there, but as you can see price didn't do that as well. Did catch a nice sell there for CAD JPY on that break and retest of this area, because we did not get the retest, so this was all fresh resistance, you know, getting retested for the first time. As you can see, a really nice reaction to that, and we were looking at this area here, and as you can see price came into that area quite aggressively there for CAD JPY and had a quite aggressive sell-off there just before we closed for the week. So CAD JPY is overall still looking like a bearish market to me. I'm expecting more downside for this pair coming back into this same support here, where we've seen all these kind of tests and prices reverse, you know, ever so quickly. So I do think we'll come back and have a retest of this area of 85,600, let's say, and come and retest that daily support. So coming into next week, looking for selling opportunities again. We do have a really key area of support here, which prices just come back into, so which was our target from last week. If we do go and break through this, because that is a lot of bearish momentum, and we could just open up bearish quite easily for next week and just see price lead to the downside. So we could be waiting for a pullback into here on the retest and look for sales back down again. Or if we do find support here quite early on in the week and see a drive to the upside, can be looking at this area here, resistance all across there, another test of that same area there as well. So just depends on what price does it find support early on and retrace, or just keep, you know, moving to the downside with that aggressive momentum that we saw just before the week ended. So again, staying on your toes, get ready for what price gives us. We are looking for sales again, not really interested in the buys. Maybe if we take out this level all the way up here, we'll be interested in buys, but I'm not sure I can see CAD JPY doing that. So we'll be sticking with that bearish bias for next week, only looking for selling opportunities. So like I said, if we can break through this support, great. Wait for the retrace to come back and retest the level, or if you do find support early on and see price just push to the upside again, we'll be looking for sales at this key resistance to take it back down to these lows. So either which way, looking for sales back down into the 85,600 area for next week. And up next, we've got pound USD. So for this pair, not too much happened. As you can see, we're pretty much ended the week at the same place we ended last week, but we did see a nice drop and a nice bounce to the upside again this week. Last week, we were looking for selling opportunities to start the week off. Again, I was talking about this level of resistance here, which price was looking really good from when it was previously here. A massive dump to the downside. So we were looking for sells again this week to the downside, targets being this level here in the market. And as you can see, we did reach that quite quickly. And again, I did say again, we will be looking for buys again from this area here if the market can hold it back to the upside, back into that same level of resistance, and basically just play that range. And as you can see, that's exactly what happened. Nice dump to the downside, found support, a nice push back up again. So pound USD was a nice pair to trade last week, and again it could be a nice pair to trade this week as well. Price action is looking good, had an aggressive push to the upside, and now we're starting to have an aggressive reaction from this area of resistance. And if I just zoom out a little bit, we've been playing with this key area of support here, as you can see, really nice support, and we had really nice breaks through this area. And I think pound USD could be turning bearish if we get below this level, and the same thing, it could be turning bullish if we do get above this level. But for now, we've kind of just got a range between this resistance and that support. So for next week, I'm looking for selling opportunities if price can retrace for me, because that is quite bearish there. So I want to see if price can come back up, reject that area, sell off again, and targets will be this same support. And again, we'll be looking for buys to see if we can have another swing back to the upside. And again, just play the range exactly what we did last week, sells back into that resistance, and if you support, sorry, and if we can hold that support, buys back up into that area up there. But if we don't and we start breaking through this area, because we did break through this trend line here last week, as you can see, broke through it, got back above it, and now we're kind of just holding that trend line as resistance, which is kind of incentive that we could be, you know, reversing back to the downside. So if we do take out this level here, it will be a really nice level to look to sell from on the retest, and potentially could see pound USD falling back down to these lows down here, which we tested on our daily time frame. So we're going to daily quickly. You can see all of this is daily support down here around the 1.36 level, so nice psychological level there as well. So for next week for pound USD, simply just playing the range unless we get that breakout to the downside. Not really too interested into the upside after seeing all this rejection. It could happen, but not really looking to take advantage of that opportunity just yet. Need a bit more information before we have that. So we'll be looking for the break to the downside. If we can get that, then on the retest, simply just playing the range back down to these lows, or if we don't, buys back up again, back into that resistance. So to start the week off, sells from this level first, again stops above there, wait for the retracement because price is already taken off a little bit without us, or if you're not already in the trade already, and then buys back up here if we can hold it, similar to what we had there, back into that resistance, just playing the range. And if we don't and we just melt to the downside, then great, selling opportunities back down to 1.36 all the way down there for next week. Okay, so up next we've got pound CAD. So for this pair, we did see a big breakout to the upside this week, big push there. I did actually have a bearish bias for this one, expecting a move to the downside, looking for price to basically hold that resistance that price kept respecting, which is this level here, hold that resistance and then continue to the downside, or if it was to break through that support here and look for the break and retest. However, as you can see, we broke through that resistance, retested that support, and continues to fly to the upside. So pound CAD was very, very bullish this week. Again, it was helped by the CAD weakness that we saw this week as well. Pound CAD flying, a lot of CAD, CAD was falling, so a lot of like Euro CAD, USD CAD pairs were flying to the upside. So pound CAD is looking very, very bullish here. It's coming into a key level of resistance, 1.75 400 area. As you can see, really aggressive reaction from this level, and now we're coming back into that. And I think if you can clear that, see a really strong daily close above that, I think on the break and retest could be a nice opportunity, maybe back into this level here, which is that resistance there. So could see a nice play of that little range there. But besides that, it's coming to a very strong resistance, and I think we will see a little bit of a pullback. So there could be some nice short-term sells, because I still do see more upside with pound CAD, especially with the momentum that we're seeing on the daily. Don't want to go against that too much, but there could be some short-term sells, like I said, because the daily had quite a nice breakout. Might see some retracement for the daily and then see the continuation, or if we just see the momentum continue, close above that, retest that, then we look to buy into that next level up there. So that's kind of the two opportunities looking for next week for pound CAD. So coming to that level now, pretty much tested it once, now we're coming back again, so we can see if we can form a nice double top there, and probably look to short it back down to come and retest some of this level here, because it hasn't retested that around the 1.74400. So a nice selling opportunity back into that level could be nice, but again, if we do come into that level and see some aggressive rejection, probably just exit that completely, because price potentially from that price action on the daily could turn bullish quite quickly. But if you do see that momentum continue and break through that resistance, then of course on the breakout and the retest, again wait for that retest. And it's important to see a daily candle closure, not 4 hour or hourly, because that again could be a false break. As you can see here on the 4 hour, nice close above, came straight back down, nice close above there as well, almost a close there above. So we want to see a daily candle closure and then wait for the retest the following day, and then look for some buys back into this area here around 1.76600. Or if we don't and we continue to reject that, look for some temporary sells, like I said, back down to this area, because we could shoot off again. So just playing off this resistance here or support if we break through it next week, and then looking for buys if you can break above it, or if we hold, looking for sells back down again. Okay, so on my screen now we've got pound JPY. So for this pair, we did see quite a big breakout to the upside towards the end of the week. You can see for the past few days we've kind of just been moving sideways, not too much momentum there for pound JPY until Friday, big flash to the upside before price came all the way back down, essentially just holding this daily resistance forming here. So price this week not too much. Coming into this week we did overall have a bearish bias, but I did say there might be some short-term buys for pound JPY if you can hold the retest of this area, which we did. As you can see, we got all this support going across here. We did break above it, holding that as support again. And so we can look to buy back into this resistance, and then from there you can look to sell it back down again. So as you can see, nice buys from there back into that resistance, and we came back so that support, came back into that resistance, and a very strong rejection there on the 4 hour. So I'm essentially expecting more downside now. We'll come back to the area that I was expecting price to get to, and now I'm looking for a lot more downside here for pound JPY, potentially coming back into these areas here around 150, 500 down there. So we'll be looking for selling opportunities. Again, it's not the best place to look for sales coming into that level there. So if price was to retrace back into this level here, that would be a nice place to sell it back down into that support. And if you can break through that, we can target the level down there. Or if we break back again, we can look for the double top and look for the sell back there, or on the retest of that as well. So basically just looking for sells and playing off these levels and seeing which level reacts, which level breaks, and just staying on our toes and reacting to that. But either which way, coming into next week, we are looking for those selling opportunities. So it just depends which level price wants to hold at, wants to react to, and then all our job is to wait for that, wait for our confirmations, wait for price action to tell us that it is holding, and then just look to sell from there. So it depends which level that price wants to react with. If it does just break through to the downside, we see that momentum just continue pretty early on, then on the retest of that, that could be a nice opportunity. But I prefer one of these two opportunities just because the risk reward is a lot better as well, get a stop loss to break even a lot quicker as well. So off the retest of that resistance, that'll be great sell. Or if you do go for the double top up there, either which way, looking for around 150, 500 all the way down there for next week for pound JPY. And now next up we've got gold. So gold, we did see quite a big move to the downside this week, very aggressive move. We were looking for sells to start the week off from this resistance. As you can see, 1, 2, massive collapse from that same level. So we were expecting to see some type of reaction from that level. As you can see, quite a big one as well. We were looking for sells back into this support, smash through that. I did say potential buyers could be looking good there, but again, the momentum just broke straight through. And also looking for buys from this level here on the 1790 5 mark, and as you can see, we're breaking through that as well. So gold is essentially looking very bearish here, also breaking through our trend line there as well, using that as resistance in fact as well. So gold right now looking bearish. I'm probably going to expect more downside for this pair, breaking through that, holding that as resistance. I'm probably going to be expecting to see gold come back into this area here of support. As you can see, really nice area of support there, funded that big move to the upside, support there again as well, bit of a false break there, and I do see gold coming back down to that 1765 mark, as long as we can hold that as resistance. 1795. So looking for sells next week for gold. Hopefully we don't see too much retracement, because we potentially could see retracement, because we do have that price action there. That price might want to retrace and come back down again. If that's the case, maybe some temporary buys could be on the cards if you can get back above that level. But essentially really just looking for selling opportunities this week from that level there, stops above that, and targeting that 1765 daily support. So hopefully we can get a bit of retracement before gold shoots off to the downside, and then yeah, take that to the downside back down to 65 from that resistance. And again, we are still holding that as resistance, this trend line here as well. So hopefully that can keep up, retest that as resistance. Then yeah, looking for selling opportunities again back down to that support, because we were looking for buys back up here, but again, as you can see, we're breaking through those levels and now holding those levels as resistance, which is the important thing for gold right now. So my bias for gold is the downside, expecting to move back down to 1765. Hopefully we can get some retracement in, and hopefully we can maintain that trend line as resistance and that level as resistance as well. And yeah, bit more retracement, respect it again, and look for sells back down into 1765 to that daily support. And last but not least, we've got Bitcoin. So for Bitcoin, as you can see, massive crash to the downside this week, but also a big move to the upside as well early on this week as well. I did say we did have that bullish bias coming into Bitcoin, because we were holding above this area as well, previous resistance, now acting as support for us, and also we were targeting this 53,000 area there as well. So we were looking for buys off the retest of this area. I said look for buys around there on the double bottom, or if we come back and retest that, and look for aiming that 53k mark around there, which is that level. As you can see, we actually didn't really retest it at all as well, so it's fresh resistance as well. Came back, tested it, and then a massive rejection from that level to the downside. So Bitcoin is looking a little bit bearish here with that price action there, breaking through those two levels there as well. We are coming back into a very key level of support, which is this level here. I take that across, you can see really big support, big move up, second move up, big move up there as well, acting as support previously not too long ago. So I'm expecting to see this level hold. If it doesn't hold, then Bitcoin will probably come back to 41k, which is this level here. Nice resistance there, hasn't retested it as support, but for now I think we'll probably see some upside for Bitcoin into one of these levels here on the daily, because the price does need to start retracing after that big dump that we had to the downside a few days ago. So again, looking for some short-term buys back into one of those two levels, and then potentially some sells again. But I think for this week we just stick to the buys. The bullish side of things, looking for a push back into this level there, and if you can break through that, then you look to hold into your trade a little bit longer into that resistance. But from there I think we'll probably come right back down again. So temporary buys for Bitcoin. I wouldn't hold this buy for long term. I think Bitcoin might see a little bit more downside first, maybe into that 41k first, and then see some upside. If we clear this level here, which is pretty much 50k, if we clear 50k, then yeah, on the break and retest there could be some nice buys to carry on to the next levels. But right now I think back into 50k up there, then from there we might fall back down again. So some buys coming up for next week. Look for price action here if it can maintain respecting this level. So far it is, so if you can look for another test, that'll be great. And then some buys back up to 48k, and if you can break through 48k, 50k up there looks good as well.
Okay, so that is the end of the video, guys. Hope you all enjoyed that and found that useful. If you have any questions, agree or disagree with my analysis, let me know in the comments down below. I will make sure I get back to you guys. If you did enjoy the content, leave a like, and you want to see more, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell as well, so you don't miss out on any uploads. But thanks again for watching, guys, and until the next one, I'll see you guys later.